the age of 18 and 30 amongst the young adults who live in the Arab world. I asked them a very simple question. Are you willing to go and fight to liberate Palestine or prevent Israel from more and more genocide? And you should get that, like you should see the percentage of people who would tell you, I am ready yesterday if they let me in. Open the border and I'll just go. Okay, now collect 10 people in Jordan and put them together and let them say, I want to go march to the border just to demonstrate and see what would happen to them. The same thing would happen. Yeah. I mean, this is the reality that we live in. The vast majority of this, of the Arab people who are, a young generation. You ask them. You just go do a little survey and you ask them, are you willing to defend your defend your nation or your people or whatever it is? Would you go fight Israel? You will have a 90% chance of them saying yes. Just give me a chance and I'll go tomorrow. But the leadership that would stop. But you have a dictatorial systems and regimes that are in place, and they owe their very existence in being in the seat of power to the superpower in the world, which is the Americans or the Europeans. Well, they're led by puppets, all of them. Yes, yeah, pretty much. I'm sorry, so they're all acting as puppets, and America's the puppet master. Yes. Woo.
And what's the problem with that? Haven't we seen unprecedented prosperity in the last 300 years? Haven't we seen incredible economic growth?
Where?
Reduction in poverty.
Where?
Innovation in medicine all over the world in the last 300 years. The improvements have been really tremendous in quality of life under America's rule.
Right. That is the biggest bullshit I've ever heard. Because when the Muslims were actually in power, Ottoman Empire, everything, and the Muslims went through the Golden Age, right? This sparked the Jewish Golden Age, and on top of that, the Muslim country alone, right, the only country in the world, was able to pull the rest of the world out of their dark ages. And I'm not even just talking about one or two countries. I'm talking about the entire world. So.
Look,
no, you're not talking about.
The Islamic world pre-1500 or pre-1490 was the American empire of today, because there was a vibrant economic system, there was a good justice system in place. It was an empire that was functioning on the basis of very basic elements of justice, economy, country, military, that kind of stuff. So they were dominant, yes. Once that's gone, it's gone.
It's gone. It's gone now.
That's the thing that we need.
What we have now is something different.
Let me give
but there has been tremendous improvement in human life after that time.
Right, but who's in control? Like, what good is
America is in control, and a lot of great things have happened due to that control.
No, it's the most demonic place on this planet. I mean, for whatever progress you feel like was attained, I think that we've regressed as a country as well. I mean, I'm looking at more poverty, more homelessness. We're not, the 1% just keeps growing in terms of their wealth. I don't think that that's progress. You know what I mean? Like, we've never had so much hunger as we have today, no matter how progressive these countries are. I think that I would wonder what life would be like if everyone had their own, and if people were autonomous. Like, if we could get these world powers off of our necks, you don't think life would be better for most of us?
That doesn't
Before you answer, can we just get a quick update from Airplane?
Yeah, they're off, and they are expecting an attack that includes all parts of Israel.
That includes parts of?
All parts of Israel, everywhere.
All parts of Israel?
Yeah.
You saying? Okay. We'll see. Sorry, guys.
Tel Aviv or other parts too?
He said
sorry, no, as everywhere, all parts of Israel. Who's your Al Jazeera?
It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's been fairly contained so far. Both sides have been very restrained. When it comes to Middle East standards, they have been very restrained.
So far, they've been very accurate with what they report. To be honest with you, that's the only reason I watch them. I don't usually follow them.
No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Israel and Iran have both been restrained in their actions. It's not like a genocide has taken place, for example.
You really think Israel has been restrained and attacking you? I don't know what that means, but yeah, okay.
I mean, it could definitely be a lot worse.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
the collateral damage.
You mean like nuking a couple? That's what you mean?
Have you seen
so cynical.
Have you seen how they drive?
I'll say
He's so cynical. It's either one extreme to another extreme. He never
I don't know, when you say, there's a restraint, let me go attack another country, destroy its
time,
and everyone
one time, Jinda, meet me in the middle. Just meet me in the middle. One time.
I'll just say this. People are not realizing. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, people are not realizing that, Israel lost in a huge way. Reverberating, everyone knows. You don't have Israel without America. And even the far-right commentators are starting to go ahead and say, like, what some of the conservatives are even voicing as well. Why the hell is Israel trying to get us into this bullshit conflict?
Not the way people think. Here's how Israel lost. Israel was betting on this massive, sophisticated cyber attack that would have left and crippled Iran for days. That
a couple hours.
They had it, and so the Iranians had the cyber attack neutralized within under 8 hours. So Israel gambled and lost big time because in their planning, I highly doubt that they had Iran striking Israel, because they knew if Iran is able to strike Israel at all, think about this. And I gameplayed this out with GPT. Okay, so it's not my own mental theories here. I did gameplay this out. Israel already knew Iran can strike and move through the air defense systems of Israel. Israel already knew this, and they knew this twice. They had two separate occasions where this was proven. So only option, for Israel was to neutralize the air defense systems and for them to have enough time to go in and destroy all of them, rendering Iran defenseless. Okay. What they did is depended on this sophisticated cyber attack that they launched against Iran. They thought Iran would be out for days. They were not. They were out for 8 hours.
Edward.
That's it.
But what my point was is that, like, if you look at the way the American sentiment has changed towards Israel now more, like, it was already going to go bad because of the whole Palestine situation, right? But now with Iran and Netanyahu himself going ahead and pleading America to join in the fight, and then making up a bullshit propaganda piece with his own mouth about, like, how Iran was going to assassinate Trump, right? He's lost all credibility on the conservative space.
That's desperation talking.
Yeah, exactly. That desperation, one second. My point is, that desperation is going to reverberate for the next coming years. Like, understand it on this front, right? You've lost the conservatives that were your highest proponents. You've lost the liberals. You've lost literally the entire American population. The entire American population is now going to start believing at some point that the Jews control everything, which is a really stupid way of thinking. But we're talking about America here, right? Like, Americans are not going to think a lot of things except for conspiracies, right? And they're going to start thinking the Jews control everything when they really don't, right? And you're going to see a massive wave of new politicians coming in as soon as the baby boomer generation politicians are gone. where they're just like, fuck Israel. We're not going to even support them even a tiny bit anymore. And when that happens, Israel is gone.
Sam, I want you to think of it.
You think it's gonna ever happen that America is gonna wean off Israel of its titties anytime in the near future because of what it has? I mean, I'm not sure if the American people understand. I think some of them started to understand what this whole Zionist enterprise is, but
no, a lot of them start to understand. You have to understand. So where I live in deep conservative Texas, right? Deep conservative Texas is already pissed off with Trump right now. But when they saw this whole Israel stuff, you have to understand some of the most prominent people who are like, we must support Israel, we need to pray for them, all that. So when they saw Ted Cruz say pray for Israel, or they saw Lindsey Graham tweeting, right? Like, I'm not even joking. Half of them were basically saying, why do we have politicians that are being run by the Jews? And I'm just like, I'm just sitting there listening to them, and they're literally saying that, like, we need to get rid of all these Jewish people that are controlling us or whatever. They're twisting our minds. They, of course, killed Jesus. Like, that's the redneck Republicans that are talking now in Texas that are fully with Israel before.
Can we back up a little bit here, Sam? I understand what you're saying, and you're right, but cyber attack, and let's say it worked, and Israel, this little tiny country, Israel, was able to take out Iran and neutralize Iran, the entire nation of Iran. So they bet everything on this cyber attack. Now, if they were able to do this, and the cyber attack, kept Iran down for days instead of hours, they would have gone in, destroyed everything, and left and won. Basically, won the war without Iran firing missiles at them. What would the world think of Israel then? Heroes.
Yeah, those
Heroes.
think of them as heroes.
Heroes. They would be like, wow. They took on Iran. Like, no, even the U.S. wasn't willing to do so, and Israel was. But that failed.
Everyone thinks that this war. Think on the premise that this war is just fought by Israel. Everyone thinks that the United States is just sitting by idly and not participating in this war. Is that something that anyone?
No. But for as far as the average American or average person in the world, Western world is thinking, yeah, that's what they're thinking, that America is not involved and didn't give intelligence or satellite data or anything like this. Yes, that's what they're thinking is that. And if Israel pulled this off, if they were successful back and their deterrence back, remember the deterrence? That's the number one most important thing for Israel to get back is their deterrence. And this would have done it. If that cyber attack worked, it would have given Israel everything back pre-October 7th. But it failed. It failed. And that's the point we're at today. And that's the reality of Israel today. And that's what they're facing. So, we're seeing bombs or missiles hitting Israel. But what we're not seeing is the discourse between the upper Israeli, echelon, who are probably beside themselves right now because this whole operation failed, and now they have missiles hitting all over Israel and putting their citizens in danger, and now they look foolish because they invited this danger into their country when they didn't have to.
What is the official cause of this war? I'm like, what does Israel say is the reason?
To neutralize the nuclear program. Defending themselves. That's the reason, they were defending themselves against an attack that didn't happen. But
have you ever experienced any peace in this region since the creation of the State of Israel?
No.
Okay,
no.
So it's a perpetual state of war. That's what it is.
I wonder what this time. It's why.
Oh, they're actually landing in Haifa.
Haifa again? Or do you know where? Or does
I was supposed to be going from Eilat, like it's coming from Eilat to the Naqura. بتعرف وين الناقورة؟
Dakota? No. Where is that?
It's
Dakota.
the furthest north and west
Okay.
part of Palestine.
Okay.
Eilat from Naqura.
Where did you hear this?
Like they put it as
The path for the missiles was probably Eilat. And then the missiles changed course, which missiles weren't supposed to do that. So they're probably using newer technology. Missiles. Remember, these are ballistic, so they generally are on a pretty preset course. I wonder what they're hitting in Haifa. What's important in Haifa? Bijinder, what's important in Haifa?
Yeah, بس saying that
Haifa is Haifa has the power. I mean, there's the refinery in Haifa. Haifa is one of the most beautiful cities in the world, by the way.
Well, not anymore. But go ahead.
What's significant in there?
Yeah, like the refineries.
But there's a port and there's the refinery. I think the power. I don't know where the
Chemical refinery and oil refinery, which they hit already. Maybe they're hitting again. The port, which they'll hit. But I remember reading some other article that they have a lot of stuff in Haifa.
Aren't there also a lot of civilians there?
Yes.
Yeah, but these are pinpoint. These are plus or minus 5 meters missiles.
No, I don't know about 5 or 6 meters. I mean, they're landing somewhere. Of course, they're going to land somewhere, even with civilians.
Well, yeah, but they're plus or minus 5 meters is the average.
I mean, it may be
what's it called?
Yes,
Standard error.
Well, circular error probable is probably what is the normal statistic for that.
Yeah, the error. The what's it called? The error.
It's CEP.
Margin of error.
Well, I think if you look this up, you'll find that CEP is the standard statistic.
Circular error of probability?
Circular error probable. There's a RAND study going way back that introduced that term.
Yeah, it's probably meaning
it's probably not. 5 meters is amazingly good.
Plus or minus 5 meters. So you're talking about
25 is maybe a lot more realistic. I don't think 10 is realistic. I mean,
I think most of the missiles are plus or minus 5 meters.
Any
I think
updates?
that's standards. They're over Haifa.
Are they reporting million casualties?
But I mean, keep in mind, Edward, a city block is like 100 meters on the side. You don't need plus or 5 meters to hit a building.
They hit a power plant, one of the most important strategic power plants in Haifa.
Right.
Just
these
now?
are big. These are big
London.
buildings.
Just now, airplane?
Yeah.
Oh, they hit the power plant.
I don't know if it's directly on it, but there's fires that landed in that area.
Wow.
What can we do?
Giant game of war games.
The casualties, I hate to say it this way because every life matters, but the casualties have been very low in comparison to, for example, when they go after Palestinians. Literally, there are more casualties in the West Bank when they go after the Palestinians in the West Bank than there has been in this Israeli-Iran conflict.
How insane is that?
Yeah, to put it in perspective. And we're not the ones with the weapons.
I would like to add, I just saw...
It's actually the biggest
IDF
amount
soldiers.
of rockets hit today in Haifa. But also there are reports in Tel Aviv.
Yes, they are in Tel Aviv. We just watched a few fly by.
They did not ask us to rebuild
Israel. Wednesday, go ahead.
خلتني إسرائيل.
Oh, yeah. I said, they better not ask. I'm sorry. I'm just tired of paying for Israel. It's starting to get annoying. They better not ask us to rebuild their country, bro. Like, we got a failing infrastructure in America, bro. Like...
Wednesday, they're going to ask you personally for money.
No.
You're going to get a letter. You're going to get a thing in the mail. I remember years ago.
New York City taxes is a lot, man.
Yeah, I know borough
Okay,
taxes too. There was a thing when the wildfires in Israel happened back in the 2000s, I think, and they had infomercials on, all the Israelis talking about it and donate to us, donate now, every dollar counts, and they raised hundreds of millions of dollars from donations.
They can raise it amongst themselves. From what I read, I think 40% of Jews that live in New York are fairly well off. So
whoever supports Israel attacking Iran on Clubhouse, they should put their money where their mouth is and give money to Israel to rebuild.
Yeah, Edward, I think it's interesting to hear.
Yaakov supports it, Caleb supports it, DB supports it, everybody supports all this, including Jason. He probably supports it. Jason, you support the attack?
I support the attack.
There you go.
Over 8 million people in Israel are in shelters right now, reported.
That's like all the Jews.
Yeah. So this is actually a wide attack, and I think they're gonna target all of Israel with this one. And they're landing. They're actually landing. Like I'm literally watching it. They're landing.
yesterday the Iron Dome failed them. It failed them yesterday.
It's been failing. The missiles. It's not that it's been failing.
It's in aeroplane mode.
Airplane mode.
Yeah, the Iron Dome is in aeroplane mode.
I took it with me.
How do you come up with this? These little things.
I don't know. I just thought like a really sharp.
He's British. They're good at it.
Have any of the missiles Salon?
No,
What's
I'm
They're
waiting.
muting
Jackie,
themselves on
no,
purpose shit.
nothing
Oh,
reported
weird
yet.
doing that.
Yeah.
What Wednesday?
They mute themselves on purpose. I don't know if this is a thing, a new way of trying.
I don't. It's a habit or what? What is up with that? I don't understand it.
Oh, you said no reports airplane?
Not yet.
Is it going up?
Now they're reporting on Netanya. They said Tel Aviv, Haifa.
Wait, Netanya is where Amos is.
Is it actually?
No.
Near, I think.
Near.
Netanya is near Amos.
Near. Yeah.
Amos. Yeah.
But what's in Netanya? There must be some military, strategic, something.
Yeah, but remember, a lot of these kibbutz have factories as well.
Iran has, last year they've had, it's not even counting what the spies have given them, but from Hezbollah, which is from Iran, but Hezbollah released 2 videos showing not just a flyover of pretty much all of Israel, and giving not just like what the facility is, but all the statistics behind the facility, everything on the screen, like a pop over or whatever you call it, as it's flying.
Yeah,
and
Edward. The report now is that there are explosions all across Israel. No exceptions, all across Israel.
Oh my God.
I wonder what they're targeting. I know the Iranians are targeting something. They're targeting. They're not targeting civilians. They're targeting actual, something.
Yeah. It's not civilians, no. But they're literally like the bombing is being heard all over Israel.
Crazy. And this is, and I know what they're trying to do.
So what's the end game? The scariest part.
The end game for Iran is either de-escalation or to get the people, the Israeli people, to start turning on their government and start asking questions as to why the hell are we being attacked and why did you start a war? And we're the ones suffering for it.
I saw this land, to be honest with you, in Tel Aviv, but multiple rockets landed in Tel Aviv.
Well, Tel Aviv has all the intelligence agencies. They have the nuclear whatever research site, which is, they called it, I read an article, it was called the brains, basically the brains of Israel's nuclear research. It's not Dimona. Dimona was the old site, and that's, where they have the nuclear weapons, but the research itself was being conducted out of this, in a suburb of Tel Aviv, which they destroyed that first night. They actually destroyed it.
Is that what they described as a sensitive site? That a sensitive site has been.
Yes. That was a sensitive site.
I think for a while, a lot of these Zionists have been saying, "Oh no, it's a war. It's a war. There's casualties in war, right? There's civilian casualties in war." Well, it's a war, Caleb. There's civilian casualties in war. How do you like that, Caleb? How do you like that?
Even don't tell them. Let them cry.
Look at the civilian casualties on both sides. This is what casualties are supposed to look like. Exactly. Not 60,000 people. Exactly. 60,000 in a 140 square kilometer area. 60,000 people in this 140 square kilometer km area is not casualties. That is called a slaughter. That is a massacre. And when you add in the destruction of all the buildings, hospitals, universities, cultural centers, history, and the plant life, that is now a genocide.
Assalamu alaikum.
Shalom. Alaikum assalam.
Hey.
Faiz, why do you always come in when I'm yelling?
No, I wanted
no reason.
I like to calm you down, that's why
It wasn't even me. It was the airplane that got me to yell.
Yeah, I know. I think airplane is an agent of Zionists.
No.
To get you triggered.
I don't know what he said. He said something, and no, he made a good point, and then I had to ride that point, and then I just
but
wrote
you know
it.
What?
I wrote it like a wild horse. Go ahead.
Okay, one of the first targets that was hit by Iran was in Tel Aviv. It's it's the headquarters of the IDF. They call it as Kyria, Kyria. Okay, and I was looking up. I literally went into and checked out the neighborhood of Kyria. It is located right in the center of Israel. It's one of the most prominent Tel Aviv districts. And you know what? Within a kilometer radius of Kyria, there is one big hospital, one big commercial center, which also houses a mall. Then they have 5 schools in that region within 1 kilometer radius of Kyria. And there are about 2,200 residential units. When I say units, they are individual buildings housing people. So why would Israel place such a sensitive building like the IDF headquarters, which also has the offices of the Mossad and Shin Bet? Okay.
Yeah, so they're not. It's not
right in the middle of residential quarters. This is called human shield. This is human shield.
But let me just correct. It is not the IDF headquarters. It's actually higher up than that. It is the most. It's like here in the U.S. the Pentagon. It manages the IDF, the Shin Bet, like you said, Mossad.
The Ministry of Defense kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. The Ministry of Defense.
Okay. So it's equivalent to the Pentagon. So the question, this is my question. Every time they killed civilians in Gaza, they said that Hamas is using civilians as human shields. So they would justify that. So I think casualties that would arise on account of hitting a military establishment in Tel Aviv, casualties of civilians, I think should also be justified. Nobody should complain about it. And surprisingly, the Iranian missile was so precise that it hit only that particular building in that particular area. Okay, and they also chose the middle of the night in order to minimize the casualties. So we have on one side, we have human beings targeting Israel. On the other side, we have monsters targeting Iran.
I mean, look, Faiz, as Easy has pointed out, or has pointed out, casualties in Iran have also been casualties have also been low. I don't think what you're talking about, I don't think that's human shields. Most military headquarters,
but according to Israel,
most military headquarters and stuff like that are office parks, and they're in places like that. I mean, where is the Pentagon?
Okay, but where is Hamas in Gaza?
Well, so the Pentagon, no one is shooting from the Pentagon at anything.
Okay.
So there you get into.
Videos? Do you have any evidence of that?
There you get into when people go into a building that's not a military building and shoot from it. That is qualitatively different than
Yes,
the
you're
Pentagon.
right, Jason.
Okay.
You're right, Jason. But here's the problem: Israel to this day has not produced any evidence showing that. They've talked about it so much; it's almost like they made the evidence tangible just by repeating it. But they have not shown any evidence of this happening, or has ever happened.
Well, hey, if that were the case, I mean, if the facts change, I change my mind. But even, let's say you're right, these are not comparable things. So yeah, you have an office park for your military research scientists in an urban area. I mean, everybody does that. It's why, because scientists live in those places, and I don't know. They don't want to live on a military base.
That's the question. Here, I don't have an answer to this. Would you consider scientists civilians or military if they were acting as civilians?
If they're commissioned by the military, which many of them are, then they're military. Yeah.
Okay.
That's military term.
Now, would you consider, let's say, if they lived in an apartment building, would you consider killing these scientists on their off hours when they're not working? Are they civilian or are they still military targets to you? I'm not courting you. I'm asking.
Yeah. If they're retired, they're not military targets.
Not retired.
If they're going to work, just let me finish what I'm saying. If they're going to work the next day, then yes, they are military targets.
No. How about if it was a building? One last question. What if it was an apartment building and there was a scientist in the apartment building and the entire apartment building was destroyed?
Well, I think you got to be able to justify that, right? So if you kill like a research assistant that way, that's a pretty hard sell. Okay. If you kill the architect of a major program or something that way, it's like, well, I mean, did you have no better option? You really should try to have a better option, you know.
Jason, what did you say?
Fair enough.
The first target the first person that Israel targeted was the chief of the negotiation team, the team that is negotiating with the U.S. for arriving at an agreement. Yeah, and you know they keep saying that we were precise in our targeting, so we were so precise that we got him out. Now, when you are precise, you don't demolish the entire residential building. But
he's not military.
3 residential. No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not military. He's a scientist who has been negotiating. He has been, because when you are negotiating on a particular topic, you need to know the subject. So he was selected by Iran to negotiate with the US. And in fact, if you go and, Edward, I suggest you go and look up the timeline of Senator Randy Fine and Senator Fetterman from the US, you will see that this is what should have happened earlier. We don't want to have negotiations with Iran, and it's good that Israel took them out. Let's see how they negotiate now. This is the mentality of the Israelis and the Zionist senators in the US. So when you take people out like this and not expect the same kind of retaliation, anybody who does that must suffer from cognitive dissonance. And the second point is, Israel last night carried out 5 car bomb attacks, in Tehran. Cars that were supposedly belonging to some senior military officials. Okay, no, we still don't know how many were killed, whether the military officials were were able to be assassinated or not. We don't know the details yet. But the point is this: when you're bombing and justifying it, why bomb cars in residential neighborhoods? Because at the end of the day, these scientists, these military attaches, just like in Israel, they also live in residential quarters, and they don't live in a desert separately, so that Israel can target them separately. So what is good, Jason? Those days are gone when Israelis and Americans and all these Western Zionists would come and lecture the world that, you know what, we are superior, we are God's chosen children. Those days are gone, okay? Here, everybody is equal. There are no God's children in this world. 8 billion people are God's chosen children. If you don't accept it, you will suffer for the rest of your lives. This is the truth. This is the reality. Earlier, all the people realize that there are no chosen children of God. Everybody is equal before God. The problems will be resolved. Peace will prevail everywhere in the world. But if somebody goes and says, no, I am God's chosen children, I am X, I am Y, I can do this, I can do that. And
hold on, Faiz. I didn't say any of those things.
No, you didn't say that. You didn't say that. That's the basis on which people come here and justify everything that Israel does.
Well, I don't justify everything that Israel does, but I'm partial to Israel in this conflict, and I hope they win. But I mean, Israel does some bad things. I think I can't.
A lot of bad things. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Israel.
May I say something, Edward? Iron Dome to stop 10 missiles, and the Israelis are reporting that in this attack, the Iranians launched 100
missiles, and I mean the Iron Dome hasn't been able to stop. I would say 90% plus of the missiles. The only time that they've been stopped is outside of Israel by the U.S. or the British. I don't know. U.S. Jordan, but I think it's U.S. Did you know that Jordan shot one down and landed and injured Palestinians who are now protesting about why are you putting Israel's safety before our own? And that's happening in Jordan now too.
Okay. And what about the other the David slings and other?
No. Well, when he says Iron Dome, he's meaning he's meaning. That's what he's meaning, is those systems. Iron Dome is not being activated for the ballistic missiles. Iron Dome, those missiles do not move fast enough to catch ballistic missiles. They'll activate them as a last resort, but they've nenever worked. But no, when the airplane is reporting, and when you hear it in the news, and everybody says Iron Dome, it's a catch-all phrase for the entire the air defense system that Israel has, and they're not catching them. No. And this is all old technology, by the way. I don't know if they used any new technology, Iran. They may have used a couple of new missiles in the last couple of days, but it's old technology, because I was actually listening to, I just found him, a lieutenant colonel, retired, U.S., and he was breaking down the missiles, and he was talking about when you see this trail behind the missile, that is not exhaust from the missile. The missiles don't make exhaust. What this is the debris flaking off, because the missiles travel past Mach 10, and I guess it gets hot and it's very violent against the nose of the missile. Well, these missiles are so old that it's flaking off and collecting in the back of the missile, because the missile is traveling so fast that it looks like it's a trail. But he said this is an indicator that these are all old missiles, so we're not dealing with any of the new systems.
Edward, is it safe to say, is it fair to say that after this is over, I don't know how long is it going to take, they're financially, fucked up, big time?
I mean, major. I mean, right now, majorly. I mean, Now, not discounting the what was given for free to them by the U.S. Okay, which is over $1 billion, so a few $1 billion worth of missiles, and that includes the actual Iron Dome, and then David Sling and Arrow, all the missiles. Some of them are produced by Israel. Not counting that alone, if you count the destruction of whatever the activation of all the soldiers, all the fighter jets, all the technicians for the defense batteries, the systems. If you add all this, which is all, I'm mentioning all this because this is all costs that Israel would absorb. They're paying for all this. It's running in a couple of $1 billion just for that alone.
But Edward, as long as good souls like yourself in the United States exist, who are willing to give your tax money to Israel at the cost of your own interests. As long as there's only there's only one reason America exists. It exists for Israel, and Americans work so that they can earn money and pay taxes so that Israel can benefit, and Americans produce children so that their children can go and fight the wars that Israel starts or instigates or on behalf of Israel. So, the existence of America is for Israel.
2/3 of our budget is just Medicaid and Social Security. You're just exaggerating now. You're making this up.
I know, Jason. I'm exaggerating. I'm also poking my friend Edward. I'm also poking
for thousands of our budget or something like that. Some tiny fraction. We give a lot of aid to a lot of countries. We defend some countries. It's true. We send our own troops.
But Jason, here's how they trick us. The aid that they sent to Israel is already paid for, so it's not in the budget. It's on the shelves. So we're sending them the actual hardware, which is not in the budget. So it's billions of dollars a year of hardware that we're sending to Israel. That has been paid for years prior.
Take the billions and divide by 6 trillion. Okay, and look at what the major costs are. And Fayez is exaggerating.
Israel
2/3 of what we pay.
What is 6 million? What is 6 million? What is 6 million?
Security and Medicaid. Okay.
What is 6 million divided by?
No, that's different. This is for civilians. This is for people. We don't need to give Israel anything.
Why do we have to give Israel something? A huge number of countries. Okay, I don't think you get it.
No. Jason, I can.
Those countries cannot break the Leahy Act, though, Jason.
Nobody.
That's the distinction. These other countries are not breaking the Leahy Act.
Wednesday, you don't want to give money to nobody, but the U.S. defends South Korea. The U.S. defends Germany.
Jason, I can.
South Korea is our ally. South Korea is our ally.
Just
stop
talking over me for a second.
Bro.
The U.S. gives a lot of money to a lot of countries.
They're literally committing a
That's just what we do.
Jason, can I? Yeah, go ahead, Jason. Finish, and I want to respond.
I don't think I'm going to get to finish. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to check out. Vinci, you want to say something? Vinci, you want to make a point?
I want to say one thing, guys. Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are blessed. Everyone in this room, may God bless you and your families. Happy Sunday. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just enjoying what's happening to Tel Aviv. I just feel so happy when I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. It makes me so happy. I just hope that parasite cancer state is destroyed. I have zero sympathy for that parasite. Wallahi, I'm not even joking. I just prayed Maghrib. I'm happy that they're burning. I do feel bad for the children. I can't lie, even though they're raised to be evil. And, even though they're taught that, Palestinians are terrorists, they can be killed. I'm just happy, guys, to see Tel Aviv burn. Very happy, very, very happy.
And I would ask that instead of being happy to see Tel Aviv burn, I would ask that you pray that this conflict will somehow bring an end to the massacre of Palestinians that is taking place.
Brother, and listen, of course, but you gotta understand, bro. Israel is the reason why there's problems going on in the Middle East. A lot of people will hate the truth, but if you want to have peace,
just Sunday they bombed area in Gaza and killed about 13 people.
Thank you, bro. Exactly, bro.
So they won't.
Like you're getting fucked, and they're fucking someone else over, bro. I can't lie, bro. I do feel bad for innocent people that died, but as a Muslim, or as a Sayyid person, I believe eye for eye. If your person believes in God, regardless of whether you're Muslim, Christian, or Jew, eye for eye, hand for hand, whatever.
Tooth for tooth.
Tooth for tooth, yes.
Can I? Thank you, Anand.
Life for life. النفس بالنفس والعين بالعين والأذن بالأذن. That's what I believe as the Muslim. So I'm sorry, bro.
I'm not trying to jump all over you, but I just want to correct. We don't believe in eye for an eye in Islam.
We believe in fairness and justice. Surah Al-Ma'idah, brother.
We believe in fairness and justice.
Thank you for your share.
I know what he's saying.
But I just want to respond to Jason about the aid that Israel gets. Jason, I want you to check out a website called CFR.org. It stands for Center for Foreign Relations.org. And this is a website, it's a non-partisan think tank based in the United States, and it tracks the kind of funding that every country gets from the US, whether it is economic funding, military funding, or any other funding. It also tracks what kind of a funding it is this. There are three types of fundings, I believe, in the US. One is known as a grant, which is literally something that you give away and the country does not have to pay. Okay. The second, aid, which is given in terms of for educational purposes, military, economic, and all different purposes. They may have to be given back to the US, returned back, or they need not be. It's all depending on the decision of the Congress. The third one is 100% aid, which means they will have to return it back. Now, as per this website, CFR.org, it says that between 1947 and up until 2022, Israel received $320 billion from Israel, from the US in different forms, out of which 85% were grant, which means Israel does not have to return 85% of the $320 billion that they received up until 2022. Okay, now when you go into the next one, which is Egypt, Egypt is the second biggest recipient, which is about $75 billion in the same period. And guess what? Out of that $75 billion, 70% is to be repaid by Egypt. Now, it doesn't say whether Egypt repaid the 70% of what they took or whether Israel repaid the 15% of what they took as they are supposed to. It doesn't give those details. But the point that I'm trying to make is this. Up until now, probably, Israel would have received $400 billion. And because they receive $400 billion, Israel and its agents in the US keep funding the senators and the politicians in the US. So it's a vicious cycle. So they go and pass AIPAC. They go and pass new, resolutions. They go and introduce new bills helping Israel more and more. It's a vicious cycle. American taxpayers' money goes to Israel through these aids and grants, and that money, a part of that money, probably a fraction of that money, comes back to the US in different forms, maybe through the military industry. And the American politicians get benefited by it so that they can go and vote in the Congress for more and more aid to Israel. So this is what is happening. That's why I keep pinching my friend Edward, that guys, Americans, you got to wake up. Your children are are dying. You don't have good medical health care. Israel has free medical health care for every one of their citizens. Your education system is being sustained by foreigners. Israel's education system.
Israel gets free education. Israeli.
Yes, everything, literally.
One of the
Fayez, I
highest
think it is only fair that I should be able to reply to you, Fayez.
Yes, Jason,
How does
please.
that sound?
Okay.
So what I will
let
ask
Jason
you
and
to
then
consider.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
What I
Let him finish.
will ask you to consider, Fayez.
Let him finish.
What Fayez said I could go.
Okay. Let him finish. Let Jason.
What I would ask you to consider is the U.S. doesn't give South Korea weapons only. The U.S. also puts its own troops in South Korea, and so when you look at these, like whatever Council for Foreign Relations is calculating, they do not include those basing costs or deployment costs when they say what our allies cost us. And like, I don't think it's even reasonable that Egypt is this king. Okay, we actually have thousands of troops in South Korea today. So I think you have to look a little deeper to see realistically what our allies cost us. And yes, Israel receives a lot of money. However, none of our troops go to Israel to fight and die. Okay,
Actually,
Americans
that's
have
a
been.
lie.
Just let
That's
me
a lie.
finish. No, look, let me finish what I'm saying. Okay, none of our troops go to Israel to fight and die. U.S. troops have been dying in South Korea for decades. So I want you to think about that. And that's my objection to your calculation. You've left out something significant, which is many billions per year that are spent on basing just in South Korea. Okay, Germany also costs billions per year. You have to include that. You have to include that.
Last time I
You have
checked,
to
South
include-
Korea
You have to include
was
that.
genocide
You
of
have to
India.
include that. You have to
They're
include
considered
that
a
to have
soft power.
accuracy.
They're actually
You have to
considered-
include
They're
that.
actually considered a
Fayez, you
soft
need to
power.
take
Wednesday,
control.
Wednesday, let him-
Fayez, you need
let
They're
Jason
actually
Fayez,
land.
you need
considered
to
a
take
soft power.
control.
Wednesday,
South
Fayez, you
Korea
need
is
to take
actually
control.
considered a
Wednesday,
soft power.
Fayez,
Wednesday,
take
please.
control.
No,
Let
you want
Jason.
me to take control.
So
Yeah, let
you-
Jason land, and then
Yes.
and Wednesday can speak.
Yes. So those figures are incomplete because they don't include. I mean, South Korea must cost us at least $4 billion per year. All right, just that, and that's with their contribution, which is only a fraction of the total cost of. And then there's everything else we do for South Korea. So I would just say those figures are not complete. They don't paint 100% realistic picture.
Wait, can I just add
Okay,
something?
okay, go.
Can I just add
Okay,
something?
Wednesday, and then please
First of
give
all,
Wednesday.
First of all, South Korea and North Korea didn't want to be fucking divided, all right? They wanted to be one fucking whole Korea, all right? The United States decided to
Thank you to the major.
Can we all agree that Israel is a cancer to this country?
All right.
communism.
No.
Wednesday, you are in the matrix. Wednesday, you are in the matrix.
I'm not finished.
Okay, but you're in the matrix.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so
Go ahead.
yeah, you're absolutely right. We owe a lot to South Korea because we're the one that destroyed their country. We went in there and destroyed their country. You making it seem like South Korea is a burden. The burden is Israel. South Korea is a soft power. They create things. They do good things in the world. What does Israel do but cause chaos in the Middle East and create weapons to kill people and a genocide? So don't give me that shit, making it seem as if South Korea is worse than fucking Israel. What? They're considered a soft power, and they're actually a better society than Israel.
Okay, you wanted to say something. Jason, let go. Are you there, Omer Abdi?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah. You're audible.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't know what Jason's idea. Kevin, think. I don't know what your obsession of Korea is, but when you talk about Korea against Israel, they are very two different countries. two different labels, two different areas of the world. When the United States has given
I think somebody's in the Matrix.
I think O is in Matrix. Are you able to? Oh, you're in the Matrix.
The Mossad got him.
Hey, yo, airplane.
Okay, let me respond to Jason's point. I'll give you the mic once you're here, and Jason would respond to me, and then Jason. The figures that I quoted from the CFR.org are the figures that Israel directly, are the figures of the aid that US directly gives to countries. So that, it's a list of different countries. There are probably about 24 countries in that list. So the second biggest beneficiary, like I said, is Egypt, which is $75 billion, okay? But the point you are making is totally different from the point that I am trying to make. I am saying what Israel gets from the US as a foreign country, okay, and what Egypt gets as a foreign country. What you're saying is maintaining air bases or any kind of military base or any kind of their own soldiers in different places. For your information, US has 80 bases, military bases throughout the world. For example, you have one in Ramstein in Germany.
Yes.
Germany. You know what? Germany doesn't need a US base, or the European Union doesn't need a military base, an American military base in Germany. You can very well withdraw that military base from Germany because the Germans, as well as the rest of the European unions, are capable of having or handling their own affairs. But if the US chooses to continue to remain, maintain their base there, what can anybody do about it? But that's totally different from the aid that I'm talking about, that Israel and Egypt and many is receive. And you also mentioned about South Korea. South Korea again is a Cold War, is a result of the Cold War. So if US chooses not to have a base there, it's up to the US to do so. But US does not want to give up that advantage that it secured during the Cold War. So it is choosing to retain its base, put its people on that land. We cannot do anything about it. But like I said, there are 80 bases. Like Diego Garcia, very close to where I live. Diego Garcia has a US base. Why should US have a base in Diego Garcia? Okay, US doesn't have to be there, but it maintains a base because US wants dominance and it wants to colonize. That's why.
Actually, the U.S. does not have a base at Diego Garcia. They share a base with
it's a British
base,
but there's a collaboration there.
It's a British.
All I would say is when you're considering,
thank you for correcting me. Thank you for correcting.
Yeah.
When you're considering the costs, you have to include other forms of military aid, like direct military aid. If the U.S. did not have tens of thousands of soldiers in South Korea would be spending more for its military than it is, to the tune of several $billions. And this is true of Germany as well. Germany is not able to handle its own affairs. Germany is actually not able. At one time, Germany had 12 divisions, but very recently, Germany tried. Shut up, Wednesday. Germany very recently tried to field a single division. They used to have 12, and they were not able to field a single division. Germany is in big trouble militarily, actually, and that's part of why the U.S. is there. And when the U.S. leaves, okay, sure, the U.S. will lose an advantage. We will also stop spending billions of dollars in Germany, and then Germany will have to spend those billions of dollars, and we very, very well may give them direct aid to facilitate them in doing that. So all I'm saying is when you do the cost accounting, you have to include the fact that U.S. defense spending in many of these countries offsets defense spending they would otherwise do, and is a form of aid that is not included in your calculation.
I don't know what Jason's obsession with Korea is. You cannot compare apple to oranges when it comes to, especially when it comes to Israel. Always gets like form of the U.S. every single year. Israel 1947. Israel has gotten over $300 billion worth of donations from the U.S. and it's actually controls the U.S. government. It's called the United States of Israel, which the lobbyist AIPAC group that control. For example, if I were about to run for the United States Senate, I hypothetically I would need like $1 million. A lot of that is with the House of Representatives and the Senate. 95% of them has accepted money from AIPAC, which this group is the strongest lobbyist group in the world. Which literally every single time when they give you money, you have to say. They would say, "Hey, we'll give you we'll give you this and that, and we'll give you this form of donation, but make sure you support Israel." You cannot go against Israel. You cannot bad word Israel. It says a lot about they're advocating for Israel. So you cannot compare oil change to a tire change. You know. So I don't know whether your obsession is with Korea. Korea is, especially South Korea, is an ally where it is a necessity for the United States. The United States being there in terms of security bases. It's not the only one that they have there. They have many other bases in that area also. So when you compare Israel against Korea, you cannot compare the two. One is a maniac, genocidal, suicidal, right, racist wing government that literally wants to drag to the U.S. every chance that they get to a war and make problems, and one is the one that is South Korea. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, Amos, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just curious if there's been any reports on American casualties in this conflict. If anybody has any news sources.
Bro, you never add anything to the fucking conversation, bro.
So
he's trolling.
Okay,
Yeah,
here's the
Amos.
point,
Let me answer him.
it's okay, it's okay.
Yes. Let me answer him.
Okay.
Amos, first of all, they have a publication ban in Israel, so nobody can really report what's going on there. I don't know if you're aware of this, which goes against their freedom. They're oppressing their own people, by the way, if any Zionists want to protest in Tent Khalid. But so far, they're only reporting in Tel Aviv. There is at least 4 different locations in Tel Aviv that got hit, and over 8 buildings in that same area. But different cities all across Israel have been hit with direct rockets.
Oh, no.
And anywhere in it.
The only reason why that's
Khalid, if you want to protest, they're oppressing your own people. Publication ban. I don't know if you want to say something about it, but yeah.
Yeah, just to add to Airplane's point, one of the CNN correspondents in Tel Aviv, who's an American citizen, he, I believe, showed something that he shouldn't have shown, and he revealed something about the hit on the Kiryat that he shouldn't have shown.
Oh, and he got kicked out, right? Or he got arrested?
He got kicked out. He got arrested and he's been asked not to report anymore from Israel. So much for, what do you call that? Freedom of, what do you call it? I don't know. Free speech. Oh my God. These beautiful words sound so beautiful. Okay, Edward.
I wanted to just quickly talk about the Israel versus South Korea conversation real quick here. South Korea produces 60% of the world's semiconductors, RAM, DRAM, etc. They are a major manufacturer of EV, electric vehicle batteries, other types of batteries, medical equipment, lasers, and they are also They trade with the U.S. is $180 billion, and they trade vital technologies with the U.S. Now, here's the core of this the issue here. Israel's trade is about South Korea. Is building a $17 billion, I think it's a Samsung semiconductor plant, and I think it's in Texas, as well as a multi-billion-dollar electric vehicle battery plant, and I believe in Georgia. Israel has not built any mentioned. However, 50% of the cost of those soldiers being stationed in South Korea pays for. So by far, South Korea has added not to just the U.S. economy, but to the world economy. But when it comes to the U.S. economy, it's a positive net value trade relationship. While Israel is very niche in defense and cybersecurity, mostly, and some medical, but comparison between the two countries, honestly.
Exactly.
That's why I say you can't compare apple to orange.
Well, you got to compare dollars to dollars, all right?
I just did.
That's the problem.
Jason,
That's the problem with. That's the problem. Well, Edward actually responded to the prompt and tried to work through what South Korea cost the U.S. But Edward, that 50% is only for South Korean employees of U.S.
No,
forces.
these are
South Korea only pays for 30% of our basing troops and everything
50%.
else. That's not true.
It's like 50.01%.
When did it go up to 50? When did it go up to 50% this
I
year?
think it was 2023.
Okay, but Fayez was quoting figures from the 1940s onward. You know, for a lot of that time.
Let me clarify.
For a lot of that time, the U.S. pays.
Let me clarify. I did not quote the cost of the bases that U.S. maintains in these countries. What I quoted from CFR.org is the aid.
Yes, and I'm saying that is lopsided. That is incorrect to compare, because the U.S. provides countries aid in other ways.
I did not compare. No. That's a different thing. See, we were talking about the aid or the grant that Israel receives from the U.S. And you said many other countries also received that. That's why I quoted CFR.org.
I didn't say that.
No,
I said the U.S. pays a lot of money to defend other countries.
Somebody else said.
How can a government give $300 billion since its creation, and yet you're comparing that to a country that actually we have a surplus of more than what Israel actually gives in terms of economic.
That's trade.
Jason, the other point.
That's trade. That's not how you put it.
Jason, the other point that you mentioned was if US did not have a base in Germany, you said, if I understood correctly, you said that Germany will have to foot the bill of their own security, which means it will be a big burden for Germany. I mean, why should you be Germany is a rich country. Germany can afford to pay for its own security. It doesn't really need American base.
Economy in the world.
Yeah, you would think they don't, but they are not able to field a division right now.
How do you know? I mean,
because there is military press on this topic. They tried to do it recently and they failed.
No, I tell you why.
Europeans always take advantage of Americans when it comes to.
Yes, Trump is right in that matter. Trump is right. There are a few things that Trump thinks right. This is one of the things. He has been asking quite frequently, why should we fund with the NATO? I mean, he's right about that. He said,
shares of weaponry, of aid, all comes from. So when it comes to the Europeans, they always take advantage of the American. Because when it comes to America, if you look at NATO, that's America, because it's one of the most powerful countries in the world. So in terms of aid and all these things, obviously, recently, actually, Finland and Sweden have been actually contributing more to, because they recently just joined NATO. But yes, Europeans always take advantage of America when it comes to NATO in terms of, in many ways, financially. What NATO is America. But you cannot compare a country that is like South Korea to a country where you actually, even let's say, cut off the trade part. We're talking about trade part. The U.S. gives automatically. It does not matter what. Like right now, the U.S. could actually stop the aid that's going to Jordan or Egypt or other countries, but the U.S. cannot stop giving money to Israel, no matter what. Last year, when Biden was the last administration, they've given billions and billions and billions of dollars other than Ukraine. They give billions of dollars to just help October 7th, to help Israel against Hamas.
Yeah.
I think the 360 way to look at this is, what does the ally cost you? And if you aren't giving them aid, but rather are going to their country and defending them directly, it still costs you money. And that's why I think you're not looking at this realistically.
Yeah, but
Jason,
can I ask him one question? I'll be quiet.
Yeah,
I'll ask one question. Jason, what is your, I guess I would say, why are you defending Israel? Or what is it that you think you're going to get out of saying that Israel, we spent less money comparison to Korea? That's the question.
I'm not saying we spend less. I'm saying overall we spend about the same amount. And this is what the U.S. does, not just with Israel, but with many other countries. And that's the only realistic way to look at that. Okay, we pour billions into other countries' defense because it expands and extends our influence and control in the world and all that kind of stuff. Okay, we do that with Israel, we do that with Korea, we do that with, pick a country, Egypt, Jordan. Okay, Jordan has also received a lot of funding from the U.S., a lot of military support, right?
Yeah, okay. So this is the point, Jason. America thinks it's the world's police, and it's also the world's most moral police, but it is not. So it is this thought, which is also reflected in your words, and you think you have to protect the rest of the world. You have to do it. No, you are not the policeman of the world. You are actually, that kind of a policeman, the one, the corrupt one, who doesn't even respect the Constitution. He just goes and stops a car, the traffic, who would not even have broken the traffic rule, but he will start pulling people out of the car and beating them up and kneeing them. So that's the kind of police the US is. But here is I want you to consider this. China, which is probably, in my opinion, the only superpower today in the world. It's not the US. Okay, US may have the military, US may have the weapons, but it's China that's really, in reality, the real superpower, because poverty is almost nil in China. There is no homelessness in China. Education, literally everybody gets education in China. Medical health care is almost free in China, so nobody is denied medical health care, and so on and so forth. In that respect, I believe China is a superpower. Okay. Now, the point is, China controls, literally, it has its presence in over 100 countries today in the world. What has China done? Does it have bases? No. China has only one base. It's in the South China Sea. Okay?
And
in the rest of the world, it doesn't.
One in Djibouti too. One in Djibouti, in East Africa.
In East Africa, okay. They don't have bases in like America does. And still, they are dominating the economies of many countries. Most of the African countries, for example, most of the Asian countries, If you look at Sri Lanka, if you look at Nepal, for example, in Asia, all the countries are today being dominated by China economically.
Belt and Road
So literally, what America does with its military presence, China does with its economic presence. You know, for the future of our children, you know, probably we will all die someday, and it's for our children and their children. I would think America should consider the Chinese policy of economic domination rather than military domination.
Well,
Can I speak on to Jason real quick? I think Jordan and Egypt were mentioned, and I just real quickly on South Korea. Well, let me do South Korea real quick, very quickly, just to make sure I drive this point home. That South Korea is actually investing right now, minimum of $34 billion in new factory construction. Half of them are already built, and the rest are being built currently, especially in semiconductor, EV, and Hyundai has a facility making cars. So this is massive, and it offsets. Let me just land. So that's all I had to say about South Korea. The Egypt, Jordan, giving money to Egypt or Jordan. Egypt doesn't receive money anymore. It's about $1 billion a year. Now they were also providing services. The M1A1 Abram tanks were serviced in Egypt. I think they currently are. They're the previous generation tanks, but they don't receive aid anymore. And a Gulf nation picked up that for 2026, starting in 2026. When it comes to Jordan, however, this is a different situation. The U.S. had a major role in, of course, Iraq, and in Syria, and in Libya. And where did a lot of
Yemen and Syria.
Sorry?
And Yemen also. Yemen.
Yeah, Yemen. Well, I'm leaving Yemen out because I'm only speaking about the countries where...
Levantine, that area.
No, I'm only speaking about countries that the citizens became refugees and ended up in Jordan, nearly doubling Jordan's population. And this is the direct result of American intervention, violent intervention, war in these countries, Syria, Iraq, and Libya. And so Jordan was asked to absorb millions of refugees, and it went from a country of 5-6 million people to a country, I think now it's 10 or 11 million, so double or almost double. I'm not accounting for natural growth, but that would be a minor, it would be minor in comparison. So we could say about almost double. And at the same time, Jordan is the third driest nation on the planet. So they don't even have enough water to support all these people, and they have to import water. They have to do, they have to grow the economy rapidly, very, very rapidly. So they have to have massive amounts of investments, which I will tell you came from the Jordanian people who were living in the diaspora, who were sending money back to Jordan, a lot of it. And so the U.S., in my opinion, is obligated to help Jordan. And I'm a big fan of Jordan, but fair is fair. Jordan had to absorb all these refugees and didn't turn them away. The U.S. didn't bring these refugees to America, which they should have, but they didn't, and they went into Jordan. So I think it's appropriate for the United States to give Jordan money. And I don't even think they're giving him enough money to be able to. Right now, they're just giving him enough money to survive, but to grow as a nation, they're not giving him enough money to grow as a nation, and they should.
And Edward,
go ahead.
Edward and Jason, I feel like we, as even right now talking about lost. Even if we compare, what country gets aid from the U.S., whether it's Egypt or Jordan or Korea, the real problem is at the end of the day, Israel is the problem. Let's go back to the real topic, what this is about. Let's talk about why Iran is being attacked, an unprovoked attack from Israel, when the United States actually has 6 round talk of peace talk with Iran in Oman, Muscat, actually this weekend. This Sunday actually was supposed to be the day.
Friday to Sunday, all 3 days.
Yep.
They were meeting. Supposedly.
Yes. So they were having a meeting. Let's talk about the real reason why Israel unprovoked attack Iran. Let's talk about that.
And ruin the diplomatic and foreign affairs of the United States.
Well, look, if you guys want to talk about it, I'd appreciate it if you let me say something.
Iraq or Korea.
All right.
No,
we don't have to talk about that, We don't have to talk about that. That's fine.
Let's talk about the real issue.
We can talk about the real issue.
Okay.
No, Ed. So I'm going to leave what Edward said to the side. All right. I'm not going to go back to it. I don't agree with all of it. But I'll talk about what you want to talk about. And I'll say Iran had a choice to make. Well, they didn't have a choice to make. They need to shut down their nuclear program, stop cooperating with Russia and China, align with the U.S., support Israel and the economic order the U.S. is producing in Saudi Arabia, or they need to get blown up. All right? That's what it is.
What?
It's that simple.
What?
Okay? The U.S. order is what they got it. They didn't choose it.
Jason,
So they get attacked.
Jason, does the United States give any money to Iran?
We supported them for a long time,
No.
It doesn't matter.
We haven't supported Iran in 40 years.
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
They need to do what we say.
They need to do what you say?
What we say. Yes, that's
No,
right.
they don't.
They cannot become a nuclear power. It is unacceptable.
Okay. Nuclear power.
You're in the military. You brainwashed, bro. Shut up.
No, nuclear power. You said, Jason. Okay, let's take your points. Let's take your points one at a time. You said nuclear power. Now, the White House has come out and, based on the reports, said that they are not working on a nuclear weapon. And Khomeini has not issued the order to build a nuclear weapon. And at the same time, the United States was going through diplomatic talks with Iran. So who's in charge? You as an American, I'm assuming you're an American. No, hold on. They were meeting this weekend. Because it wasn't meeting out. No.
They had 6 meetings with us.
Wait, you can't.
They never rejected the deal, bro. They had a meeting today. There was supposed to be a meeting today. There was supposed to be a meeting today. Didi didn't like the fact that it might have been successful, and this is why he did.
They had meetings today. It was up to the United States.
Stop coming off the mic. Too many mics, man. Just let Edward engage. That's it.
So
then we can go.
So, Jason, you're saying that they rejected the deal, but that's not for you to say, because the United States still had a meeting, had a diplomatic meeting with Iran. And as a matter of fact, this was beyond just a diplomatic meeting. They were in the technical details. So basically the agreement has been ironed out, and now they're in the implementation phase. So these were advanced talks. Now, who's it up to end these talks? Is it up to Israel, or is it up to the United States? You tell me. Who's it up to?
The reporting I saw is that Iran affirmatively rejected our.
No. I'm asking you who it's up to.
Okay, Edward, please.
I'm asking one simple question.
I know.
I'm asking you who is no. Who is it up to? Okay, am I wrong? Did they not meet?
They rejected our deal.
No,
They
hold on.
rejected our deal.
Then why was the United
And
States meeting
once
with
they
them?
rejected our deal, only
Why
after
was the United States meeting with them, Jason?
Only after they rejected our deal.
Jason,
Israel attacked.
Jason, why was the United States
Those are the
meeting with them?
facts. You have the
Why was-
facts wrong, Edward.
Jason, I'm asking you,
You have the
why
facts
was
wrong.
the United States meeting
You're
with
asking
them?
me about something that's not true.
They were not meeting with them this weekend?
No.
Yeah, Edward.
What you're saying is
So they were not.
Brainwashed military guy.
Let me just ask him a question. Jason, you said that Iran rejected the deal. Is that right?
Are you
It's quite
Are you
a
scared to answer
back
that?
talk.
Hey,
It's
Jason,
quite a no back talk.
one second. Let him answer. Jason, you said that Iran rejected the deal.
Iran rejected the deal.
Can you show us the official statement out of Iran that they rejected the deal?
Sources. We need sources.
Can you show us that?
Is that what? So you want me to
One second.
What do you want me to find for you?
Can
An
you
official
show me
document?
yeah,
No, don't interrupt me while I'm asking you a question.
Yeah, you shut the.
Don't interrupt me while I'm asking you a question. Are you asking me for a document from the Iranian? Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Stop interrupting me.
Yeah.
Are you asking me for a document from? Stop interrupting me while I'm asking you the question. You can't say yes if I didn't ask.
Just say, hold on.
Hold
on, guys. Yes, he said yes, and that's it. Take it at face value, Jason. Can you please provide us that?
My question hasn't been finished.
You made a claim. Hold on. You made a claim, Jason. The burden of proof is on you.
I don't think I'm asking a question. Are you asking for a document from the Iranian government?
How did they reject the?
Are you asking me for a document from the Iranian
Yes.
government?
Hold on. Everybody, stay muted. Stay muted. Yes, we are asking for a document from an Iranian government or Iranian media source. Can you provide it?
I don't read Arabic. I have U.S. sources media.
They
that
released
says
in English.
rejected
They
the
released in
deal.
English.
Well, they have it.
Can I answer?
No, nobody come up to mic, please. We need evidence because he made a claim that Iran was the one that rejected the deal. So now we need to know. We have to dive into this evidence of, Jason has.
I can make it a little bit easier for you. How did they reject the deal? Yeah, Jahash.
Jason, you must know. You said they rejected it, so tell us how they rejected it.
It's quiet. There's no back talk. That just gives you your answer.
I'm not sure what you're going to accept as a source. You're not going to accept a U.S. news source. Is that correct?
No, you can go to.
Put it up. Let's take a look. Put it up.
CNBC. You could go to Fox. You could go to CNN. You could go. Everybody knows that Witkoff have been working with. He's in the Trump administration. Has been working with Iran to about the Iranian nuclear weapon project. That they were supposed to be actually having a 3-day meeting. This from Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week, and Bibi actually went against the U.S. and attacked, unprovoked attack.
And if they rejected, why is the U.S. meeting with them this weekend? Why were they going to meet with them this weekend if Iran rejected the deal? That doesn't make any sense.
Yep, the math ain't mathin' then.
Yeah, this game's a joke. Yeah.
Well, okay.
It doesn't add up.
No, please, guys, please.
And-
No,
and-
go ahead. Let me say something.
Let me say
something. Okay.
Yeah.
It does make sense for them to meet with Iran. If Iran has a change of heart, please stop. No, please stop forgetting me. Please stop forgetting me. No, that's not the way to have a conversation. So, Edward, the last inference you made there does not make sense. Iran can certainly change its mind.
How are you engaging in this?
Then
You said
the
it was
US will
rejected.
talk with them.
You said it was rejected. How are you engaging in this conversation? It was rejected. So show us.
I don't have to do things that you order me to do.
Show us.
Okay, and let me
I
tell
don't
you
work
something.
for you.
So we don't have to listen to your.
That's right. You don't have to
Guys,
listen
let me
to
say
me
something.
if you don't want to
Let me
talk.
say something.
And Iran doesn't work for you either. It doesn't have to be what you want.
Why don't you
No,
ask
let
me
me say
to
something
leave?
real quick.
That's
Let
how
me
you
say something.
expose
Let
scumbags
me
like this guy. That's how
Can
you
I say
expose them.
something? No,
Liars.
can I say something real quick? let's say Iran, right? Other than Russia, the most sanctioned country in the world, other than Russia and North Korea, the most sanctioned country in the world. Let's say if Iran gives up its own nuclear weapon, then what? Then what? The U.S. automatically lets Iran off the hook and gives them their billions of dollars that they've been frozen over the years, and does business with Iran. The only reason it's the nuclear weapon, it's not even. That's what they're saying, that it was nuclear weapon. That's why the Iranian nuclear weapon needs to be gone. It's not even that. They want something else. They want the valuable resources that's in Iran, and they want to control Iran. That's the only reason why the U.S. is and Israel wanna provoke Biden against them. So
he knows this. He already said that Iran should give America what it wants when it wants it, and it doesn't matter if it's in the best interest of Iran or its people or not.
Well, thank God we don't live in a colonial world where the white man. We don't bow down to the white man. We don't bow. Sir,
better bow down.
I mean, this guy's a troll. Nobody's lying down
to a white man.
Edward,
I'll never bow down to
one of the areas hit today.
Colonial motherfucker.
One of the areas actually exports oil and power to Europe.
Was it?
That was
okay, yeah. They're going after power because Israel stupidly went after Iranian energy production. So Iran said they will match whatever Israel does. They were mirroring. So
I posted the.
And I will say, I just want to say,
read a few days ago.
No one.
All right, indicating that the deal was rejected.
Well, you should start by saying I read an article that says that Iranians rejected.
I said it was reported. Yes, I said it was reported.
It was reported in
Yes, I said it was reported that Iran. I said they rejected the deal. You asked how do I know that? I said it was reported. I read that indicates that. Okay.
That's your source?
You do the homework after.
No, I read this article a while ago.
Yeah.
A while ago?
Fact check it? Did you?
Was that a while ago?
I generally trust the Reuters article is from the 4th.
And who rejected the deal? Can you tell us in that article?
Iran rejected it.
Who was the person that rejected it?
According to this article, it was the 1 second here.
You know that there was alternative to the Bab el-Hormuz that China and Russia.
Okay, Iran's supreme leader Khamenei said on Wednesday that abandoning uranium enrichment was 100% against the country's interests. Okay, so this is Khamenei rejecting what the U.S. wants.
So what did they reject again? What did they reject?
They were not going to stop doing uranium enrichment.
And what was the deal?
That's what we want them to do.
Yes, the details I read from more than one source that the Americans were asking the Iranians and in all their effort to enrich any kind of uranium, and they initially offered that we will enrich some uranium and give it back to you later on. I think the whole thing was a ruse from the beginning, and they did take a rejectionist kind of a stand, but negotiations were still going on, and Netanyahu felt a deal might be reached between the U.S. and Iran in terms of their nuclear facilities. Exactly. And he said, I can't fucking deal with this. I got to blow the whole thing up and let me attack Iran. And he called Trump, and Trump said, maybe it's a pressure tactic to pressure the Iranians. If you hit them a little bit, we can pressure them to come to the table and agree to the terms. But apparently Netanyahu had a whole different plan in his head. So now Iran, and now he's asking the Americans, please help me, come and help me. I got to do this. I got to finish this job. And probably Trump Trump's blood is boiling, and I don't think he has a choice but to get involved in the war. Those are the trickeries of the Zionists. That's what they do. And how do you know a Zionist is lying?
When they talk.
He's not lying. The Zionist is not.
When they're breathing.
Oh. When their lips are moving is another version of that joke.
Even Netanyahu, the case of Netanyahu, he before October, and a lot of people say that October 7th was premeditated because he was actually supposed to be facing a lot of corruption charges in Israel. He was not even he's not a popular vote. Like everybody actually hates him over there, even within his own people. And yet, when a lot of the days before the attack started, a lot of countries was even Egypt. Egypt said that hey, there was a big attack coming. That there was, and he said, "You stay over there, mind your business." And yeah, October 7th happened. It was all premeditated. And from then, like, let's say, for example, even if he stops whatever is going on today and there's a peace in the Middle East, I know they're going to get his ass. As long as that there's no war, they're going to get him and they're going to take him to jail and they're going to do all of that to him. So and that's why there's
no... And you guys know, I assume you know that if Iraq is just fell down on Tel Aviv and Haifa and Petah Tikva and Batya, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, look, guys, I gotta go. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. We don't agree on very much, but I appreciate the opportunity to debate with you guys. Let's try to have a polite, party here, all right, dude? No, I don't agree with you about a lot of things. I mean, maybe you're right. I'll find out in the morning.
Jason, are you a Zionist?
I'm a Zionist, yes.
Okay, we don't debate Zionist. Zionism is not debated; it's diagnosed.
Well, look, we are having so far, Jandeep, we've had a good conversation, you and I in particular. I appreciate your tone and the way you approach matter. Okay, I don't agree with you about anything. I do appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. So you all having a good evening or a good morning or a good afternoon.
But again, Zionism is not debated.
I hope you get diagnosed. Your disease.
Well, I hope you have a nice day.
We wish you a nice day too, said Jason.
Colonial ass motherfucker. Get him out of here.
Everybody's touched.
The audacity of that man. Oh, the audacity.
That's what they're known for.
Guys, any update on what's going on the ground in Iran and the Zionist country?
I know some of the rebel in Tel Aviv, and they're digging. Some rats are under the rebel.
Hey, what's up, Nick? Did you want to chime in, Leila? Do you know any new?
Leila, that's my favorite name.
Salam, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Walaikum assalam. How you doing?
Good. How's everyone?
Alhamdulillah.
So the latest updates are basically Haifa. Well,
You said Haifa? Any other updates? We're talking about Israel, right? Or we're talking about Iran?
wait, sorry, is that better?
Much better.
Sorry, I had to disconnect Bluetooth. The latest update is something to do with the plant infrastructure in Haifa that's completely destroyed.
Right.
Ballistic missiles have successfully hit Tel Aviv.
No. Yeah, and they said that they're going to go after the electric or gas facility. I think that's what they...
So there's no electricity in Haifa to begin with. There's fire breaking out in industrial areas in Tel Aviv as well. So the Israeli citizens are already complaining. They're stressing out. Well, obviously Netanyahu's in Greece.
I think he came back.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Hey, what's up, Rayfan? Rayfan, you got any updates?
Rumor going around. There's a rumor going around that Netanyahu just got a heart attack and died.
I love that rumor.
He was missing prostate or something, and then now this.
In a coma, a heart attack or something, and he's in a coma.
First prostate, now he's in coma.
Who is?
Netanyahu. We're talking about. We heard that there's first he went through prostate, now with this coma thing. Oh my God, he got a heart attack.
Who would ever? Is it Ben Gvir that's going to take up the war?
Nope. So that guy, President Herzog, that idiot doesn't even know what a president means. That idiot is going to pick somebody from the coalition.
No, he picked somebody who we think is best able to put together a coalition. They have 30 days to do that.
There's a picture that came out on Twitter. He was outside trying to analyze the damage.
Yeah, I did. All of the bunkers are pretty small. People hide. People hide. Set places to go to.
And after the heart attack, his ears shrank a little bit.
Well, his ears have been getting larger as his face. I think he had a stomach bypass because he lost a lot of weight. If you compare photos of him from 4 or 5 years ago with him today, I don't wish anyone
I think
heart attack.
Netanyahu regrets hitting Iran. Those buildings in Tel Aviv, do you know how much it costs to build those buildings?
Poor Netanyahu.
No, they completely miscalculated. This prince of Iran, which went to Israel, and this is really before October 7. It's totally a miscalculation. I talked to my mother. She's totally against the Iranian regime for the longest. But right now, they are all united and they are really happy, unfortunately, for what Iran is doing to Tel Aviv. This is a complete disaster failure on the side of Israel. There is no way, I'm telling you, there is no way this will lead to regime change.
What do you expect? You expect the Iranian people just and cheer upon somebody destroying their country? Who the fuck is in his right mind thinks that way?
No, they really expected this. And this is the fault of this prince of Iran in the United States. They are a bunch of lunatics. Just talk to them as they come to this app. They are really frozen in 50 years ago. They have been up.
I know. All those guys in California, I know.
They are racist as fuck. They are as racist as they can get.
I know. I was telling people how the yoga instructor of Balhabi's grandpa is making a comeback.
They are as racist as Nazis.
And the Supreme Leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khamenei, actually came with a statement because for some reason Benjamin Netanyahu, his message to the Iranian people, we want your freedom, all this BS. There's a statement by the Supreme Leader saying, according to Benjamin Netanyahu caring about Iranian lives, all the attacks by the Israelis have killed 90% of these attacks were actually Iranians that have died. So these whitewashed Iranis that think that this is a possibility, this guy's killing you. He doesn't care.
Leila, even if 100% they hit IRGC commanders, even in that scenario, Iranian people would be angry. I mean, it's like, for example, part of your family that you hate, but somebody from outside come and kill it.
Exactly.
So this is a complete miscalculation.
And I've read this documentary yesterday. I've watched this documentary yesterday about, do you guys remember the strike from Iran last year, how everyone was laughing, saying it's all fireworks towards Israel from Iran? So the Iranians so the Iranians are actually very smart. What they've done is they've done their calculation. This was like a test for them. They've done their calculations based on the number of missiles that were sent and the number of missiles that were intercepted. Only 7 have reached. So next time we need to double up to calculate how much can reach the ground. And yet everyone underestimated Iran. Amos, are you on the bus? Can you talk?
Yeah, I'm in the bunk.
Almost, Leila.
Oh,
This is a bootleg. This is a bootleg.